Area of composite shapes. To be able to calculate the area of a composite shape, you need to split the shape up into recognisable 2D shapes. So for example, with this shape, we can split it into two rectangles and label them 1 and 2. Then to calculate the area, we separately calculate the area of the first shape and separately calculate the area of the second shape and then add them together. So if we look at the first shape, it's a rectangle, which means the formula is length times breadth. So we're going to be doing 14 times 5, which is 70 centimetres squared. Then we're going to look at calculating the area of the second shape. So again, it's a rectangle, so L times B again. And this time it's 20 times 13, which is 260 centimetres squared. Once you've calculated your areas separately, then to get the total area of the whole composite shape, you need to add them together. So we're going to be doing area 1 and area 2. Area 1 was 70 and area 2 was 260. So the total area of the composite shape is 330 centimetres squared because it's area. Here's a slightly different looking shape. First thing we need to do is split it up into recognisable 2D shapes. So we can split it into a right angle triangle and a rectangle. Label them 1 and 2. We're going to calculate the area of the first shape, which is the rectangle. So length times breadth, 20 times 12, which is 240 centimetres squared. Then we're going to look at calculating the area of the triangle. So the formula for area of a triangle is half times length times breadth, or half times base times height. Doesn't matter which way you do it. So we're going to need to identify what is the length, or the base, and what is the height, or the breadth. So the length is the same as the length of the rectangle, which is 20. And then if we look at the height, or the breadth, we know the whole thing is 20, but we just need this bit here. So in order to calculate the breadth of the triangle, we're going to need to do the whole height of the shape, take away the height of the rectangle, which is 20 take away 12 equals 8. So that means the breadth or the height of the triangle is 8 centimetres. Once you've identified your dimensions, then you can substitute it into the formula. So half times 20 times 8, which is 80 centimetres squared. Then to get the total area of the composite shape, we need to add those two together. 240 add 80, which is 320 centimetres squared. The next example is more of an exam type question. So here we've got, it says a garden in the shape of a right angle triangle has a semicircular pond on the hypotenuse as shown below, well, as shown at the side. And the first question is calculate the diameter of the pond. So we are trying to calculate that green line, which is the diameter of the pond. So in order to do that, we would need to know the total length of the hypotenuse of the right angle triangle. And if we knew that, we could then take away 9, take away another 9, and that would leave us with the length of the green line. Now if we have a right angle triangle and we are trying to work out a missing length, so in this case we're trying to work out the full length of the hypotenuse, we know that we can use Pythagoras. So let's write down c squared equals a squared plus b squared, label the triangle, on the next line put in the numbers, type them in the calculator, square root both sides. I've just realised I wrote the wrong number, so I fixed it. Should have had a 20 there, and then that ends up being 625. So we're going to square root that, and we end up with 25 centimetres. So what that means is this whole side is 25 centimetres. We are trying to work out the green bit, so we are going to do 25 take away 9 take away 9, which ends up being 7 metres. And this, I wrote centimetres, it should have been metres. So the green line is 7 centimetres, which is the diameter of the semicircular pond. The next part of the question says The garden, excluding the pond, is to be covered in turf. Calculate the area to be covered in turf. So if we look at the diagram, everything apart from the pond is to get covered in turf. So that means we need to calculate the area of that yellow section that's coloured in there. So what we can do is we can calculate the area as if this was a full triangle, and then we can take away the pond. Now the pond is in the shape of a semicircle, so that means we would need to work out the area of the semicircle. So I'm going to call the triangle area 1 and the semicircle area 2. So I'm going to write down the formula for calculating the area of a triangle. So half times L times B. The length and breadth are 15 and 20. So on the next line I'm going to put half times 15 times 20, which is 150 metres squared. So that's the area as if it was a full triangle with no pond. Then we're going to look at calculating area 2. So it's a semicircle, which means it's pi r squared halved. So pi r squared divided by 2. Now for the formula, we need a radius, but all we know is the diameter, because we worked out that the diameter is 7 metres. So if the diameter is 7 metres, to get the radius we just need to half it. So the radius would be 3.5. So on the next line we're going to write pi times 3.5 squared instead of r squared divided by 2, and we can type that straight into the calculator to get the answer. It ends up being 19.242, and it keeps going. I'm going to round it to 1 decimal place, so 19.2 metres squared. Now, looking at the diagram, we're trying to calculate the yellow section. The yellow section has the pond cut out of it, so that means instead of adding the two areas, we're going to need to subtract them from each other. So we're going to do the triangular area take away the semicircle. So 150 take away 19.2, which is 130.8 metres squared. So that is the total area that needs covered in turf.